nice to be at home in Anne Arundel County. I want us to think for a second. I want to take you back a couple years ago. November 2016, not the day Trump won, the day after, when you woke up and you realized, oh my God, he's still president. That wasn't a bad dream. It actually happened. What WTF do we do now? I have family members in recovery, and they always talk about the importance of the serenity prayer. I didn't understand it until Trump won. I started saying the serenity prayer like 4 or 5 times a day. One day it sort of hit me all at once. Key thought, the core concept of the serenity prayer is know what you can't change. You wake up one day and you realize the far right wing, those who would divide neighbor against neighbor in the interests of wealthy corporations and the Koch brothers and others who like to invest in pitting us against each other, and run the types of hateful ads that we've seen directed at me in this campaign. You wake up and you realize the far right wing has taken over every branch of our federal government. The core thought in the serenity prayer is know what you can control, know what you can change. It occurs to you. One thing we can change is who runs Maryland. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that like Pete said, and let's hear it for Pete Smith. One of the great leaders in our family. A member of the intelligence community, a true hero. Thank you, Pete. Pete said we're going to do that by winning the way Democrats win. You put out a positive vision, and you turn out more than 1 million of your neighbors, and you win. And that's how we'll win this year. Well, the next thought that hit me that day was that the most important lesson I learned in college was in judo class. First lesson in judo. You shall use your opponent's momentum against them. That's how a 5'2" black belt kicked my butt every day as a white belt. And I was always on my back, flying across the room. Well, what's the momentum of the far right one? My grandma was a 101-year-old retired Maryland social worker. Her grandfather was born a slave, died a state senator, co-founded Virginia State University. My grandma helped train a much younger social worker named Barbara Nicole. And my grandma would tell you that the momentum of the far right wing, the way we got to this place where they control 33 state governorships and every branch of the federal government has been the states' rights movement. We signaled that we were ready to enforce civil rights and women's rights and workers' rights and protect our environment. And they responded by saying, then we will take the power away from the federal government and we'll invest it in the states so we can do end runs around all those things. But when you wake up and Donald Trump and the Republicans control every branch of your federal government, what do? You take back your state and you make a state, you make a state of water. This campaign is about making Maryland a model for fully funding our schools, eliminating zip codes as determinants of children's opportunity, giving our teachers a raise, and finding out what happens when every school is finally a good school. This campaign is about being a model for taking on the pharmaceutical companies. We don't take their money like Hogan does. In fact, we don't take any corporation's money, no corporate PAC money, no even big business money. And we want to build a model for taking them on, getting a better deal for our neighbors, passing Medicare for all.
Yes.
And in these times when the scientists tell us we have 10 years to save the ability of the planet to sustain human life. Let's be clear, we're not saving the planet. The planet will not miss us.
Right.
We're saving us.
Right.
We have 10 years to save us, to get climate change under control. We will make Maryland a model for moving as rapidly as possible to 100% reliance on clean and renewable energy. We will unlock thousands of new jobs and new wealth as we become a center of green energy technology. We can put factories back to Dundalk. We can build turbines in Dundalk, float them straight down to Chesapeake Bay, install them off the eastern shore. And we have thousands of jobs in both states. Sisters and brothers, this is an inflection point in history. Either we rise to this moment, we organize our neighbors, we push them towards a positive vision of what's possible, or we allow the Republicans to keep pushing us backwards. And my grandma raised me to believe in the promise of this state. It's why, after my parents had to leave because Mom's black and Dad's white, and it was against the law for them to stay here once they got married. Illegal to get married in Maryland in 1966, illegal to return to the state. As husband and wife. The sheriff can come into your bedroom at midnight and prove that you were violating the law by cohabitating as man and wife across racial lines. It's why, despite all of that, they kept sending me back. Every summer with my grandparents, rushed back here in my 20s. Tried to raise my children here in my 30s as I led the NAACP. The promise of Maryland has always been that this place, my parents, this place my grandparents came to in 1941. Granddad to work the B&O Railroad. Grandma went to work for Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
Yeah, my grandma's upset. We're still dealing with some stuff. Top of her list is that access to women for birth control is still a fight.
Yeah.
We handled that a long time ago. Grandma's a piece of work. Well, she trained me to understand the promise of Maryland is that this place would always be a place where it's easier for your children to achieve the American dream, and for you to have confidence that your golden years would not become a nightmare. What's the status of the American dream in Maryland and Maryland's promise to her people under Larry Hogan? In the last 4 years, everything that's supposed to have gone up went down, and everything that's supposed to go down went up. Our schools have fallen every year in the national rankings, fallen from 1st to 6th on his watch. Does he have a plan to turn it around? No. In 5 minutes of the debate, he couldn't tell us his plan. Murders are up 42% statewide outside of Baltimore City. And more than 50% when you factor in Baltimore City. Healthcare costs are up 120% in the Maryland Health Exchange, the benchmark premium. Opioid deaths are up 160%. We're dead last in the region in job growth. We're dead last in income growth. If we had the job growth of Virginia, we would have 40,000 more jobs right now. And their job growth is below the national average.
It's a line.
Folks will tell you, Hogan's not that bad. And then you tell them those stats, and you know what they say? Wow, that's actually pretty bad.
They didn't know it, yeah.
We know. We are Democrats. We are the party of FDR and JFK and RFK. We are Maryland Democrats. We are the party that Barbara Mikulski built.
Say that.
We don't accept Republicans pushing us backwards. We know that this is a state that was built for working families to leap forward. So let's get out there. These next 3 weeks, and turn this race around. We saw O'Malley do it to Ehrlich. We saw Hogan do it to Brown.
Yeah.
The polls have been off. They were off in 2014. They were off in 2016. They were off in my primary. I lost every poll in the primary, and then I won the race by 10 points.
Yeah.
So whatever you've heard to this point, we'll draw a line at this point, and what do? We get every neighbor we can to join us in volunteering. We knock on every door. We make every call. We turn out more than 1 million Democrats, and as Pete told you, trust me, they will not be able to catch up with us. Mark doesn't decide who wins. Polls don't decide who wins. Please decide who wins. Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 again. Folks, got any questions? What's the next? You tell me. Yes, ma'am.
One reason we've got to have you as governor is because of redistricting.
Yes.
And if Republican, Hogan is telling people I'm going to make half the districts in Maryland Republican.
Right.
This is what I want to tell people who say, Hogan wasn't so bad. I think I'm going to vote for him. I've heard all those bad jealous things. We need you.
Well, no, thank you. Look, that's exactly right. The next governor will handle redistricting. The next governor will also appoint 5 out of 7 judges to the Maryland Court of Appeals. Well, think about it. That's our state's highest court, state's Supreme Court, if you will. 5 out of 7 judges. Larry Hogan may be the only person in America of 300 million plus people who said he was neither educated enough nor qualified to have an opinion about Brett Kavanaugh. When I was 18 years old, I thought I was educated and qualified enough to have an opinion about Clarence Thomas. How can you be a 57-year-old governor and think you ain't educated enough to have an opinion about Brett Kavanaugh? My cab driver has an opinion about Brett Kavanaugh. And what we know is that's really about his cowardice. That he doesn't want us to know what he really thinks.
Right.
And whenever he's had a first instinct, it's always been wrong. Confederate monuments, he said keep them up. Fracking, let's go with that. We have to, on judicial appointments, have a governor who will get it right the first time. And on redistricting, we have to have a governor who has the courage to say, the only way we move to nonpartisan redistricting is we do it together. We pass a federal nonpartisan redistricting law. We create a state compact. But we will not unilaterally disarm Maryland.
Right.
We have to leverage the power of our state to get the region to reform. Otherwise, all we do is send a whole bunch of new Republicans to Congress at exactly the wrong time. And as I said today to the Associated Press, the time has come for us to impeach Donald Trump.
What's your vision for infrastructure development throughout America, covering from the district all the way out to shore within Anne Arundel County and jurisdiction? Where are you with that?
We have to, you're talking about transportation?
Transportation particularly.
We have to have a 21st century plan for transportation in Maryland. In this region, greater Baltimore region, it's always been an afterthought, and it's always been an afterthought. I was with the Anne Arundel Chamber leaders a few nights ago. A few of them were at a business people's event I had. They're upset about Larry Hogan killing the red line. Because plenty of folks in our county could have driven right into the beginning of the red line and zipped into jobs downtown. I'm committed to reviving the red line. It may take 10 years. They told me, Mr. Jealous, there's no way to do that unless we change the President of the United States. I said, you know what, I'm totally down for that one too. Sometimes it takes a decade, sometimes it takes two, but you don't stop fighting. In the meantime, we have to have a plan for the entire state and the region. It includes bus rapid transit. It includes bus systems that make sense. That includes expanding metro, increasing the service. What we don't need is more rapid transit for the rich. We don't need $43 tolls. We don't need, don't get me wrong, I'm a sci-fi geek. I like the idea of high-speed rail. But if the choice is between high-speed rail, which with one stop in Maryland, Baltimore, and everything else is out of state, and it's $56 round trip to DC and back, like, please, if you can afford $56 a day, buy a helicopter. What the rest of us need is MARC to be expanded and for it to run more frequently, and that's the type of thing I'm focused on.
That question, I'm worried about the healthcare message, that maybe Republicans are attacking you too much based on how to pay for it. And I think a lot of voters are worried about that, or how are you going to make your message clear to moderate voters, people who may worry about that, like all in, like healthcare.
So what we know actually is that our message outpolls theirs when voters hear it. The most important thing we can do right now is to make sure that voters hear our message. Literally, what we're fighting against is a name recognition deficit. He's an incumbent governor that everybody knows. 10 out of 10 voters know him. I'm an insurgent Democrat. We had some of the highest name recognition of all the other would-be challengers. But you started about 7 out of 10 voters knowing who I am. The day that we get to 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 voters know Ben Jealous is a Democrat who supports Medicare for all and is endorsed by the nurses to fix the healthcare system. I jump in front by 6 points. So we're not shying away from Medicare for all. It's really cool. And they ask you what it's all about. Tell them this. Tell them it's about stretching our health dollars further. It's about leveraging our buying power so we get a better deal. As Americans, as Marylanders, we pay twice as much as what they pay in pretty much any other industrialized nation for healthcare, and we get half as much.
That's right.
The Republicans, specifically the pharmaceutical lobby that's funding those ads, will tell you, no, we can't. No, we can't do what every other Western nation has done. I don't recognize no, we can't America, or no, we can't Maryland. We're a can-do state and a can-do country. And when you point that out, it's about leveraging our buying power, and the message you're hearing is from the pharmaceutical lobby. Understand, the pharmaceutical lobby may be the only entity less popular than Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's right.
What is your strategy for affordable housing? Continue to build houses that are 40, 400,000, 500,000 consumer who cannot afford it. So, what is your strategy?
As we expand, or one of the ways that we're going to do it, what we're going to do is build more transit-oriented development. So in close proximity to trains and to bus rapid transit, we'll be building more vertically. Because we can't just keep building single-family houses for everybody and tearing down forests. Apartments, not everybody can afford it. And we have to build more rental housing as well. The rental market in Maryland is so expensive because it comes at a premium. But Maryland is now the most expensive state in the country to rent a one-bedroom apartment on a full-time minimum wage salary. It will take precisely 101% of your full-time minimum wage salary to rent a one-bedroom apartment in Maryland. That's also why one governor will finally raise the state minimum wage to $50. I'll take these two. Yes.
I president Democrats running in 2016 was very struggling at the time with big business. No message for small business. I mean, the thought that we learned from that, it really has to be a message for innovation, inflation, innovation.
Happy to talk about that. And what's your question?
Well, there are a lot of young people and a lot of women who are coming out to support you.
Yes.
What can we do, young people, not myself included, can we do to help you get Dan Giles elected in 2018?
All right, perfect one to close on. So let me handle that, and then I'll go. So she said, as you heard me say, this is about fully funding education. It's about getting our healthcare costs under control, getting a better bang for our buck, and it's about building an inclusive, robust economy powered by clean energy. So let me break that down. Robust means that we will build on Maryland's strengths. Our strengths are cybersecurity. We're the cybersecurity center of the universe. And yet, Virginia keeps beating us and getting cybersecurity headquarters to its state. I asked Terry McAuliffe, who's endorsed my campaign, why do you always beat Larry Hogan? He says, because Larry Hogan never has a plan, and plan beats no plan all day long. I got Alphabet, the holding company for Google, and Google to tour the state to place for possible expansion last spring, because for 2 years I've worked with them on getting them here. Part of how I got them here was they are interested in building a cybersecurity center of excellence. Our strengths are health sciences. We used to be number 3 in the country. We're now number 5 or 6. We'll get back to the top 3. I'm a mentor, Johns Hopkins Accelerator Fast Forward, where I help grow health sciences startups. And we will grow more. Part of that is taking the office of tech transfer out of the Department of Commerce and putting it in the governor's office to give it greater visibility and power. We are number 1 in the country destination, the number 1 destination for federally funded research dollars, and yet we lag in the bringing of those ideas to market as products and the growth of our economy. As you know, federally funded research is what was the seed corn in Silicon Valley, and we will do a much better job of bringing it to market. One of the companies I invested in is just that type of company, and it's growing rapidly. Our strength is also just simply our entrepreneurs who are here. They are our number 1 job creating, small business people who are here. And as governor, I will do several things to make sure, 1, they get better access to capital. We will organize the investors who are in state and investors who are out of state to give our entrepreneurs greater access to them and demystify who they are and where they are. The big part of what we've done at Hopkins to retain more Hopkins startups in Maryland, and we'll do that for the state. We will also underwrite our banks, giving lines of credit earlier, like it's 6 months or a year, not having to wait for 2 years of tax returns, and to use the latest financial services technologies to do that, because it's not just, as you know, when you're growing a business, whether you get the credit you need, but whether you get it when you need it. And if you get it when you need it, you grow more rapidly. We will also benchmark our regulations against those of surrounding states and our incentives to make sure that this is the best place to grow a small business. And we'll create a growing business owner's bill of rights, so that as part of an effort, Susie and I are both small business people, to bring an actual customer service ethic and ethos to our government. Because there's too many times people are just giving the runaround in ways that may be, I don't know, convenient for the person giving them the runaround, but literally drain them of dollars while they're trying to launch an enterprise and short-circuit their ability to create jobs. So those are 4 of the things that we're focused on. Thank you very much. We will invest more money in TEDCO to make more of the state's money available to Maryland startups. Now, how do you help? 3 ways.